Call to order the May 8th, 2019 Planning and Zoning Commission. Roll call.
Barbie?
Here.
Buckley?
Here.
Castro? Klein?
Yes.
Maxwell?
Here.
Wright?
Did I
Chair
hear my
Doe?
name?
Yes.
Yeah.
you did.
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry. I'm here.
Castro?
Sorry.
Here.
And Chair Doe. There we go. That would be 6 present.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? If none, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Barbie.
Second.
Second by Buckley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Approval of the March 20th, 2019 minutes. Any additions, deletions, or corrections?
I move approval.
So moved by Klein.
Second.
Second by Maxwell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. This is the public participation portion of the meeting. Anyone who has anything that is not on the agenda that you would like to speak to, we welcome you to the podium. Okay, and there being none, I move to new business. Our first item is a public hearing, which is a petition by the DeKalb Park District, represented by Matt Emken, for approval of an amendment to ordinance number 98-75 to accommodate a new landscape plan along South 4th Street for the DeKalb Park District Sports and Recreation Center located at 1765 South 4th Street. And I open to the petitioner. If you could state your name and address, please.
Hi, my name is Matt Emken. Live at 632 Hannah Court in DeKalb. Superintendent of Parks and Development with the DeKalb Park District. And as you said, back in '98, the City Council approved Ordinance 9875, which allowed for the construction of the Sports and Recreation Center. We wish to have this ordinance amended to allow for an updated landscaping plan along the street frontage. Updating our curb appeal was ranked very highly in our recently completed strategic plan, and Upland Design has created a new berm design concept for us as part of the master plan for DeKalb Kiwanis Park. The landscaping portion of this plan was approved at the March 21st, 2019 board meeting. The original plan called for a 6-foot tall berm, approximately 202 trees, shrubs, and plants. We've had many issues with these over the years. The steepness of the slope makes maintenance very difficult, and the proximity to the sidewalk and the street causes visibility issues, while overgrown plant material often partially blocks the sidewalk. Many of the trees have grown to a point that ComEd has been forced to prune them out of the overhead power lines, making them very unattractive. And we receive multiple resident complaints each year about the look of these berms. The proposed plan will reduce the berm height down to 18 inches and push it back 5 feet from the sidewalk. But it will also contain the same 202 trees, shrubs, and plants. There are many advantages to the revised plan. The reduced slope will make future maintenance much better. The new berm will also greatly enhance the sight lines for vehicles entering and especially leaving the Sports and Rec Center. Placing the same number of plants in a smaller footprint will also keep the visual barrier intact for the homes on the east side of South 4th Street. All plants materials will be between 3 feet and 12 feet height and maturity. For comparison's sake, here's a cross section of the current berm in blue and the proposed berm in orange. So you can kind of see the big difference. We've slightly altered the plant palette since our initial application to include more native species. But the stuff that we have will provide year-round interest visually. A few of the highlights of the plant palette: there's a thornless cockspur hawthorn, autumn brilliant serviceberry, prairie fire crabapple, ruby slippers hydrangea, New Jersey tea, Barry Poppins winterberry. Let's see, what do we got here? That's just for your sake, if you're not familiar with Sports and Rec Center, the subject property just north of Fairview Drive at 4th Street. Plan view of the proposed plan, where you can see where the berms will be, the kind of snake aspect to the new plan. It's part of an overall plan for Kiwanis Park, yet we've not put a final approval on that plan yet, but it'd be part of a overall landscaping plan that will go all the way down 4th Street, clear to the corner. This was the original plan for what you can see if you drive by there now. And then we've provided just a few pictures of what the current state of the berms looks like. So you can see how the trees have been pruned out of the power lines and had to be cut up to allow you to be able to see when you're trying to get out. Overall, not a very attractive welcome to DeKalb from the south side. So, thank you for considering our request. Anybody got any questions?
We'll open to the city and then do a public hearing, and then if we have any further questions, we'll have you come up. Okay. Thank you. And I open to the city.
Thank you, Chair. Nothing much to add beyond what Matt's indicated. The ordinance back in 1998 that approved.
I don't think your mic is on.
How's this?
There you go.
Sorry. Ordinance back in 1998 that approved the Sports and Rec Center. There was a lot of discussion back then regarding the building location, the height of the building, screening of the parking lot. There was a 6-foot-high berm approved along with the quantities of landscaping as described in the plan that was in your packets. And as the Park District indicated, there's been maintenance issues, complaints regarding maintenance of the berm, the visibility, the condition of it. So they have in their strategic plan and their plan for Kiwanis Park indicated, so they've done some planning on this where they want to have a plan to lower the berm height to take care of the maintenance and visibility issues, but also a plan, again, the same amount of landscaping is there to offer that screening. So the staff report goes through that in terms of the number of plantings proposed. What's proposed is, if you look at our UDO for frontage along a street landscaping requirement, they are actually about twice as much as what is required if in our UDO in terms of plantings along a street. So they're exceeding that. And of course, they're adding some additional variety of plantings, so they're easy on maintenance. And Matt went through those in terms of why they're choosing those particular species. More native plantings, these are for maintenance, and I think the some of the images here that shows really looking north on 4th Street from the exit of the site. You can see the visibility problems with the berm there, and that's the kind of the south berm. There's 2 berm areas as you look at the entrance, and they'll be modifying both, of course. And that's the landscape plan there. So. No citizen comments have been received as of tonight regarding this. A notice was sent out, of course, as required. So we recommend approval. There's a sample motion in the packet. It includes the Exhibit A, which is the submitted landscape plan.
Okay, thank you. So now I open up the opportunity for anyone in the public who would like to speak or have questions. And at the moment, there are none, so I turn to the commissioners. Katerina?
I don't really have a question, just have a comment. I live close to this, and I think it would be a huge improvement, what you are planning.
Mm-hmm.
My kids played soccer there, so I think it's a great idea. When I read the proposal, I couldn't really see anything negative about it.
I agree. I took a drive down there Saturday and studied it more closely, I guess, than I have in the past. It's not very attractive now. I think this will be a great improvement.
My turn. I do have a couple of comments and I guess one question. Just for the sake of clarity, Mr. Emken, and this is for our understanding of how this works. So you see the need and you hire an outside company to come up with a design to improve this particular area. And that's what you're presenting, what the board has already approved from this outside company to present to us and eventually do. Is that fair to say? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you. So I may have misunderstood something, and I just want more than anything else clarification. When this was originally designed, it seemed to me, I read somewhere, that part of the goal was to block some of the view potentially of the building from the east side if you're looking west. Is that fair to say from when this happened the first time around?
The way I understand it was some of the neighbors on the east side of the street were worried about, being
The
able
view.
to see the building and worried about possibility of headlights late at night shining into their house.
I see. So I guess my question now is, I mean, you're significantly lowering the greenery area. Is that a relevant concern or not anymore?
I don't believe we've had really any issues with it, and with the way we've got the plant materials spaced out, I think once they reach maturity, they're going to keep that visual barrier intact.
Very good. I don't think I have any other questions. Thank you very much.
I don't have any questions. I'll just echo my fellow members' comments. I'm over that way quite often, and I think this will be a huge improvement.
I absolutely agree. I spent years coaching on that soccer field, and I wish it were there then, but it'll look beautiful now.
I also agree. I think this is a great plan. The one thing that, when Mr. Castro had asked, I lived in that area when this was coming about, and I remember, all the push for it and the pluses and the minuses, and, you heard both sides. Once it was built, I was disappointed to see how big that berm was because you couldn't see the building. So I think this will be a really great change over there, and getting in and out of that parking lot with that berm so high has not been the greatest. So kudos to you all for coming up with a plan that I think is going to be a great welcome to DeKalb in that side of town. So I appreciate that very much. So we do give the public an opportunity for a second time if anyone would like to speak or has questions. And there being none, I'm going to close the public hearing and turn it back to the commissioners for any further questions or comments, or move forward.
Motion to approve?
If you'd like.
Based on the submitted petition and testimony presented, I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend to the City Council approval of the amendment to ordinance number 9875 to approve the new landscape plan along South 4th Street for DeKalb Park District Sports and Recreation Center. And of course, my screen goes out. No, okay. Recreation Center located on 1765 South 4th Street per landscape plan, sheet 1.1.0 dated 4/19/19, prepared by Upland Design Limited and labeled as Exhibit A.
A motion has been made by Maxwell,
Second.
seconded by Buckley. Roll call.
Buckley,
Yes.
Castro,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
Barbie,
Yes.
Chair Doe.
Yes.
6 yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Our second item is a public hearing, a petition by MT Nest LLC, represented by Thomas Schmidt, owner, for a special use permit in the CBD Central Business District for an outdoor patio deck for the property located at 241 and 249 East Lincoln Highway, which is Hometown Sports Bar and Grill. I open to the petitioners first, if there's anyone presenting. Okay. If you can state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Tom Schmidt. I reside at 653 Limestone Drive in Batavia. I am the owner of Hometown Sports Bar and Grill in downtown DeKalb. I'm currently involved in a city-approved expansion project located at 249 East Lincoln Highway, which is the building directly east of Hometown Sports Bar. I'm here tonight seeking approval for proposed deck/patio area directly behind 249. Our intention is that this space be a full-service area, which will accommodate 16 to 24 people comfortably. Our goal is to have this patio open for service during regular business hours. We hope to gain approval for this project and break ground shortly after, weather permitting. So I ask for your approval and acceptance, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I open it up to the public for anyone who has any comments, and I do have a,
I can go through the report.
I'm sorry.
If you like.
I opened it to the city.
Yes, let's go through the staff report provided. As Tom mentioned, Hometown Sports Grill, they're currently located at 241 East Lincoln Highway. That, and I show on the subject side, I think I had a detail in the packet showing the exact addresses, but this is 241 here, the existing Hometown. And he's expanding over to the adjacent building, which is 249. The back of that building is an area that's open, that he's proposing the deck. And this is a view from Palmer Court showing the back of the building where the deck will be elevated. There's a floor plan that shows the two buildings, or the floor plan for it. This is Lincoln Highway here. This is the proposed deck patio at the back of 249, with stairs leading down to Palmer Court, which is over here. So it will be elevated. As noted, back in March, or last year, council approved a preliminary development incentive agreement, and then a final one in March of this year for some TIF money for the applicant to expand into the adjacent building next door, for addition to the restaurant and bar, and include the patio and deck. And those agreements did mention the need for a special use permit would be required for the outdoor patio and deck, which is required in the central business district. Any outdoor patio requires that procedure to go through. So he submitted the petition and all the backup materials in your packet. The current Hometown Sports Bar is about 2,800 square feet. With the expansion over to 249, that's approximately just over 2,000 square feet. So there'll be a combined square footage between the both locations of 4,868 square feet. As noted, the patio and deck will be about 500 square feet at the back of 249. This is looking again from Palmer Court to the back of the building. So obviously this door will be removed. The deck will be up here, coming out this door. These stairs will be removed, and it'll be an elevated patio and deck. This is a view from that second level, shot from this door, basically looking across to the north to the Debutante School building, the old DeKalb Theater at that wall. And to the west is the Hometown Sports Bar wall. And to the east is the wall of the Thai Pavilion. So there's no windows that look out over to this. There's no apartment units directly adjacent to this open area. There are 2 apartment units above the space at 249. However, they are located at the front of the building towards East Lincoln Highway. Chapter 38 of the municipal code, that's our liquor code, requires that outdoor seating areas serving alcohol must be fully enclosed with walls or fences to monitor patrons entering and exiting the business. The applicant, so on the floor plan, again, the outdoor deck is here. They had stairs proposed down. They did revise their plans before the packet went out Friday, and that's included in your packet. They did revise that to include a gate at the top of the stairs that's self-closing, that with a sign they'll be there saying, do not enter. They're going to have to enter. You can't enter the establishment from the stairs. They'll have to go around to the front. But patrons can exit through there, so they've added that gate to meet the liquor code requirement. Being a special use, we have the standards, of course, in the UDO for every special use. The plans do meet the requirements of the UDO and the CBD district. Second criteria looks at the surrounding area, if it's going to be, what impact there will be on the surrounding area. It will not be detrimental to the surrounding area. The proposed deck will be over Palmer Court. Again, the facing walls where there's no windows there. There's no apartments directly adjacent to that. I would note, too, that the applicant, Mr. Schmidt, plans to keep the open deck open during the liquor hours that are allowed per the liquor license. That's 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. Monday through Wednesday, 6 a.m. to 2 a.m. Thursday through Saturday, and then 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. on Sundays. So again, the second criteria looks at the effect on the surrounding area. No adjacent apartments, no windows directly overlooking the deck. The third one looks at the surrounding area, if it would be detrimental, again, to the surrounding neighborhood. It's fairly developed already. There's other commercial, obviously a lot of commercial uses around there, other restaurants. Outdoor seating areas, mostly in the downtown, are at ground level, at the street level, but there's a few of those, of course. Adequate utilities already in place. Citizen response comments, we did get a few of those. One that was in your packet from Lauren Woods of Cracker Jack's business at 118 North 3rd, indicating her support of the proposal. Then after the posting of the agenda Friday, we did get in yesterday 2 letters of support, and they're in front of you tonight, from the 2 people who live in the apartments above 249 East Lincoln, both indicating their support of the business and the expansion and the outdoor deck. So there's a sample motion provided. And those letters, just for the record, are provided from Cassandra Braun and Kelsey Mellon. Cassandra Braun in Apartment A, 249.5, and Kelsey Mellon, 249.5, Lincoln Highway, Apartment B. So I'll add those to the record. Sample motion is provided. This one quick correction for whoever makes the motion. We did get a revised Exhibit A, the sheet there with the gate at the top of the stairs as required. And so the sheet should be in the second to last line, sheet A0, and that's dated 5/1/19. So it's sheet A0 instead of A2, and then 5/1/19 instead of 2/20/19. So when anybody makes a motion, just be aware of those changes. That's all. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So now I open it up to the public, and I do have a speaker request form from Tom Rogers.
Thank you very much. I am Tom Rogers. My residence, 77 Whittington Course in St. Charles. My place of business, brick wall that you saw there at Debutante's, is the business that I own, and so glad to see us make the docket for this evening. But I just wanted to show up in person real quick and just note my strong support for the project. Excited to see a project like this. Tom's a great neighbor, runs a great business, and I think this is going to be a very positive development to bring some vibrancy to our area, and really looking forward to see it passed. Thanks.
Thank you. And I give the opportunity for anyone else who would like to comment or ask questions from the public. And there being none at the moment, I open it up to the commissioners, and I'll start to my right. Mr. Maxwell, anything?
The only question I had, I'm assuming you're going to mount speakers out there at some point for music.
Yeah, there'll probably be some form of a speaker system out there to create some of an atmosphere for dinner and things of that nature, not necessarily for dancing or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern would be that it's going to echo off those walls down that alley pretty heavily, so, I mean, I guess just in moderation.
Sure.
But that's all.
Okay.
I don't have anything. I like it.
My turn. Mr. Olson, I apologize in advance because I am a little disoriented. So could you go back one slide? Back, I think it was. Okay. So the white ceiling roof there is the current Hometown Sports Bar.
Correct.
That's correct.
Mhm.
The property immediately east of that is what?
The proposed, where he's doing work right now to expand the restaurant and bar too.
So
That's
there's nothing
249.
there right now?
Pardon me?
There is nothing there right now on that?
He's currently working inside to restore it. There was a previous business in there.
Okay. Okay, that helps me a lot. So you're expanding east, and by the way, I realize that some of what I'm saying here is out of the scope of what is in front of us, but I just want to at least understand. Could you go to the next slide, please? So what we're seeing here is the back of one of those properties, or the back of both?
The back
properties?
of where he's expanding into 249.
So
to
we're
the
not
east.
seeing the back of the current
Correct.
establishment? Okay. So the deck is going to be the width that we're seeing here, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so this helps me a lot. I'm going to repeat a few things just for the sake of clarity and for the record. So the deck is elevated one level, correct?
Yes.
Actually, this goes a little bit in line with what I heard here. Are there building codes that would regulate the way this is built? So
Yes,
none of this
absolutely.
is here, of course, but there are
Yeah,
regulations.
he'll have to apply for, well, he's applied for a building permit to do the work inside, so that, I think, included the patio and deck. So that's checked by our code enforcement officials to make sure it meets code, and will have to be built per code and inspected properly.
Correct.
Yep.
And I realize that's out of the scope of what we're here, seeing here, so I'm just curious about that. I guess, and then I think I understood this, and I'm going to say it for the sake of clarity. So for the sake of safety, there's going to be a set of stairs that you can go out from, but you cannot go back in from those set of stairs. Is that correct?
Correct. The
That's
stairs are here. Here's the outdoor deck, so you'll be able to exit. This is a
So
gate here that will be shut, and they can only, leave the location. You can't go up the stairs and enter. There'll be a do not enter sign, and the gate will be self-closing, so.
If I'm a patron here and I'm on this deck, I can leave any time, or is this an emergency exit?
You can leave anytime.
And it is an emergency exit as well?
Correct.
Of course, okay. Thank you very much.
And the two, as I mentioned, he's new working here. There'll be a connection inside the building, and a new door is being put in here to connect the existing hometown into the new area. And of course, there'll be the front doors to both locations will still be intact, so.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. The railing around it, how tall is that going to be?
I believe it's 42 inches.
Okay.
42 inches.
The railing around it. So if you're
So
seated,
it's
it'll be, yeah, so if you're seated, it'll be,
3
Shoulder
feet,
level?
4 feet.
yeah.
It'll be
Less than 4
about
feet.
to my
Yeah, if
shoulders.
you're sitting down, it'd be right about here.
Right.
Yeah. When I'm standing, where my shoulders come. There's some advantages to being short.
I mean, that's exactly what I want.
Would you like to see?
There, that's
Right here.
That's how.
Well, I
Oh, boy,
assume that this
here
is
we go.
also regulated.
Yeah, I think that's minimum height for the railing. Yeah,
Correct.
per code.
To those out in the audience watching, we have fun once in
Yes,
a
we
while. You
have
have
to.
to. Mr. Klein?
So people could get under this, or will that be closed off?
Well, there'll be railings, like your typical fence post
But I
patio.
mean, they couldn't walk from the alley under the patio.
No, we plan on putting lattice and stuff like that to keep people, deterring from people from going underneath.
But anyone that wants to access the business can do it through there. They don't have to come through the front of the building.
No, they have to enter at the front.
Pardon?
They have to enter at the front of the business.
Okay, so they
Yeah.
can't come up the stairs.
Right, that's why there's a gate there.
And is there going to be any kind of a roof over the top?
The one's not scheduled or planned at this time, but depending on popularity, maybe we turn it into a 3-season type thing if that is something that we could address at a later date. Right now, I'm just trying to get sun shining back there in a comfortable area.
Well, I did walk back there Saturday morning. I think it's a perfect spot for what you want to do, and I'm
Thank you.
glad to, I think it'll be a nice improvement.
Thank you.
I don't really have a question. I was just, the door that goes from the patio, you can go out, but you cannot go in. Correct?
That's correct.
So how
From-
do you do that?
They'll be entered from the restaurant into the upper deck patio right here. There's a door.
No, but I mean, how do you prevent people from like
From,
coming in through the patio?
up from the court, up the stairs?
Yeah,
Well, there'll be a gate there, I mean, and,
but you can go out, right?
you can leave.
You can leave, but you can.
It's Hotel California.
As long as you
Hotel
pay, I guess. I'm sure Tom wants them to pay first.
That's okay, yeah.
I told you I needed Friday.
So is there, what prevents people from opening the door to the patio in the back?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
I suppose that's always a possibility.
Because I know,
But there'll be
I think
table
of
service
Patty's,
to
for
the,
example. You
there'll be
can-
table service to the tables, so there'll be staff out there, waiting on people, so
Tell them to go
it
around.
won't be unattended.
Is there something in the UDO that you cannot come in through that? Because I'm thinking of Fatty's. You can
It's a
go
liquor
onto their
code.
patio
Yeah.
It's a liquor
directly.
code issue, not UDO.
Yeah, or code, yeah.
Yeah.
So is there something that prevents people from coming in through the patio? I mean, is there
Going up the
something-
stairs and just stepping over, or just going in, probably nothing preventing beyond, not complying with the liquor code, so. It's got to be monitored by the owner and the staff or
Yeah.
people doing that, so.
I mean, we do everything we can to try to prevent people from doing what they're not supposed to be
Yeah.
doing, but
'Cause I'm
as you
thinking
all
of my
know-
students.
There's always one.
you know.
there's always somebody that's trying to do something.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that shouldn't.
Well, and with that, I did have a question about,
Sure.
so there will be staff outside monitoring it, or will they?
Well, what we did is when we designed it, you can see kind of area right there, we placed a bar and the bathrooms are in the back section. There's a kind of an oversized rear door area, so there will be good visibility for my staff to be able to view people that are on the patio
Okay.
and hopefully deter any kind of misconduct.
Because the other piece that I was thinking of, obviously, if you're a smoker, you can't smoke on there. You have to go be 15 feet away.
You'd have to
So you'd
move
have to
away.
go downstairs.
Right.
And then
And you got to come back
getting
around the
back
other
up.
way.
Back around and go back in the front door.
So are you going to require people to go all the way around to get back in?
Well-
If they're out smoking?
See, the thing is, with
Is there an entrance?
right here, Hometown has a back entrance off of Palmer
Oh,
Court.
okay.
So you don't have to go necessarily all to Second Street or through the walk-through to get to the front of the building. There's an accessible point at
Okay.
the back.
And that will be accessible for people to be able to get in that way?
It's open right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's great. I
Thank
think
you.
it's something needed downtown.
Yeah.
I like the fact that
Cute.
Eduardo's has their patio. And so having something on that side, plus you're expanding, so you're adding to the restaurants in the downtown. Kudos. I think that's great.
Thank you.
So I guess from the discussion itself, is there any room here to have a security camera back there?
Oddly enough, I do have security on the back of Hometown right now shooting into Palmer Court just because, so, yeah, will be in the plans for sure.
Did you guys have anything? I have one more question.
Yeah.
Is that a flow, does that alley go all the way through?
Yes.
Is there any concern about cars?
No.
Being too-
It's more of a parking lot than a.
Okay,
No,
okay. That's what I
right,
thought,
yeah,
but I wanted
yeah.
to. Okay. So I give the public one more opportunity to
Thank you.
speak. Thank you. There being none, I'll close the public hearing. Any further questions or comments from the commission? If none, I'll take a motion.
Motion?
Sure.
Based upon the submitted petition and testimony presented, I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission forward its findings of fact and recommend to the City Council approval of a special use permit for an outdoor patio deck on the subject site located at 241 and 249 East Lincoln Highway, is shown on the floor plan sheet A2 dated 5/1/19, prepared by LePage Architects Limited and as indicated on Exhibit A.
Just to note, the sheet should be A0,
A what?
0.
0.
Okay, I'll amend that to sheet A0.
Mine says David.
Second?
Motion has been made by Klein, seconded by Maxwell. Roll call.
Castro?
Yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Maxwell?
Yes.
Barbie?
Yes,
Buckley?
Yes.
Chairdo?
Yes.
6 yes, motion passes.
Wonderful.
Must be here.
Congratulations, thank you. So our third item is a public hearing, a petition by Kevin and Melissa Lovell for approval of a zoning map amendment from the CBD Central Business District to the PDC Plan Development Commercial District, and approval of a plan development preliminary and final plan for a .53 acre site located at 424 East Lincoln Highway, Lovell's Discount Tire, in order to expand the existing tire service to include full vehicle repair services. Consideration is also requested to approve waivers to the Unified Development Ordinance. And I open to the petitioners. If you could give your name and address, please.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Richard Larson. I live at 12284 Fairview Drive in DeKalb. I'm an attorney. I represent Mr. and Mrs. Lovell. Kevin is here with me. They are seeking your approval for a rezoning of this property, commonly known as 404-424 East Lincoln Highway and 120 South 4th Street, from its current central business district zoning to plan developed commercial PD-C. There used to be, you may recall, there was a small former service station structure on the corner. The Lovells demolished that building, and they intend to redesign the parking lot of the remaining Discount Tire structure by adding additional parking stalls, landscaping, streetscape improvements, including paver bricks, and signage to improve the appearance of the corner and allow the remaining building to accommodate additional vehicle services, which would require additional equipment. These modifications will soften the hardscape of the corner. This rezoning request for a planned development which currently exists as a legal non-conforming use because the business and the structure were there prior to the passage of the Unified Development Ordinance. Just as a kind of an aside, this is not, of course, at the entry to the city, any of the entrances to the city, but I recall being told a long time ago that this intersection is in some book as being extraordinarily unusual because you have two state highways crossing with a railroad track going through it diagonally. So it is, I think, a point of interest in the community, and this project obviously would considerably improve the appearance of this particular corner. We propose to confine the uses of the subject property to those permitted land uses and developments in the central business district. We also propose to use it as a vehicle repair and/or service facility, occasional and indoor car wash perhaps, but basically tire sales and repair and sales of related automotive accessories. We are asking for waivers of certain provisions of the UDO. Land development usually requires 2 acres. We don't have 2 acres. Landscaping requirements adjacent to the streets. This plan is not exactly consistent with that. Parking setbacks, there is some waiver involved with some of the lineup of the parking, and there's an issue of maximum site coverage by the existing building. The owners are prepared to agree to any reasonable conditions relating to the use of the property recommended by the city planning staff. If you have questions, either I will try to answer them or Mr. Lovell is here and he can speak to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I open to the city.
Thank you, Chair. You have a staff report in your packets. Again, the request is from the Central Business District to a planned development commercial district for the site. Little history that Lovells Discount Tire started on the property in 1987, and the current building was constructed in 1998. As noted, there was a former building for a gas station at the corner was demolished a few years back. The CBD district currently has some prohibited uses listed in there, and one of those is vehicle repair or service facilities. So the current use of the tire service is a legal non-conforming use. It was established prior to the UDO prohibiting those uses in 1993. So the current use can continue. They want to expand the type of services offered there to include minor repairs, also oil changes. In our UDO, we have two kind of definitions for vehicle repair. One is the vehicle repair facilities. That's both minor and major repairs of vehicles. That's mechanical overhauling, painting, body work. They're not proposing to do that. What they want to do falls under the vehicle service facilities definition. That's minor repairs are allowed, such as oil changes, and then also to have additional service like brake service, muffler service, exhaust shocks, etc. So they're not proposing the heavy mechanical work or painting, just the minor work, but something beyond the tire service. And they also indicate they'll have an occasional indoor car wash there operated, so they like that included in addition to all the permitted uses in the CBD district. Currently is a Proton Tattoo at the west end of the building, which is the body art establishment, which is permitted in the CBD now, so they want to continue that use, so that would be included also. And I'll go through in a second, but with the recommendations, there's some restrictions placed on the vehicle repair, kind of related to the vehicle repair place that went through the commission review a few months ago on Sycamore Road in terms of the operational limitations. And also, back in 2013, the applicant did go through the process of rezoning, very similar to this, and was recommended by the commission and withdrawn before the council took action on it. So since that time, the building at the corner has been demolished, the former gas station site, a small building, and the applicants had time to kind of go through the cost and also to investigate the potential TIF funding. So some TIF assistance, there was an agreement approved back July that would allow some improvements, money to use for improvements, mostly the streetscape and then the parking lot resurfacing. So with the streetscape, they will be doing some paver blocks. You kind of see a street view here. There's paver blocks as you go to the east, half the sidewalk, and as you go west. When that was done in the downtown a few years ago, this area kind of left out, I think, because of the proximity to the railroad and some issues with working and adjacent to the railroad. So what some of the improvements they'll be doing is adding the paver blocks. You can kind of see them in front of the new commercial building down here. They'll continue that along the sidewalk here, all the way across, and also there'll be, this is actually depressed curb here right at the corner. They'll be putting a curb there and a gutter, so that will be cut off. They'll maintain their access on the far east to the site, and this is looking on from 4th Street into the site, and they'll maintain the access on 4th Street also, which is not really used. They have parking there for the Proton Tattoo, but this access right around the corner will be curbed, so nobody could enter there, and with the streetscape improvements. Plus, they'll be resurfacing the entire parking lot with asphalt per our UDO regulations, because the area where this former building was is kind of gravel right now, half asphalt. So, and some of the spaces are not really striped, so they'll be resurfacing that, striping it per our code. So the, as noted, the intersection will have a lot of improvement on it. There'll be additional landscaping, the ground sign. A new ground sign will be put up that meets our UDO requirements at 10 feet. The existing kind of smaller pylon sign will be removed, and they'll add some additional landscaping that will extend all the way across the frontage here, because that's where they're going to have the new parking area. So as I mentioned, back in July of last year, they had a TIF agreement approved. They got an extension in January for another 6 months to get the zoning process going forward. So we've been meeting with them for quite a while, actually working on the site plan, all the TIF expenses, and I've kind of worked that out. So, so I noted the improvements on the site, the streetscape improvements. The applicant worked a lot with IDOT in terms of the improvements along Lincoln Highway. Both of those are state highways. And South 4th Street also in terms of access and the improvements that will be needed along there. The parking, as mentioned, there's about 19 spaces right now. With the proposed improvements, there'll be a total of 23 parking spaces, so they're going to add some parking, about 4 spaces to the site. The number of required spaces per the UDO is, there's an update on this. There's 19 required just with the vehicle repair based on the number of employees in the service bays, but we also have to include the proton tattoo, so they're going to provide that calculation on the plan, and they should be enough because the square footage isn't that high enough to require parking beyond that, what they have out there. So they'll provide that update on the plan. As mentioned, landscaping there, which is provided in your packet, detail up here. This is existing parking here, so this is all new parking area with landscaping, and they'll be re-landscaping. This is partially landscaped right now. They're going to put new plantings in there that kind of fit with the area a little bit better. You can see this, and offer a little bit better screening. And they'll be adding some 3 shade trees too in this area. You do have a revised landscape plan in front of you on the dais that's only revised. They changed the species of the street to from a maple to linden to match IDOT's concerns about the species they selected. So that's only a revision. That plan is provided in front of you. So as noted, there are some waivers to the UDO, kind of based on the fact it's an existing site and under 2 acres. One of them is a setback for parking adjacent to a public street is 10 feet. Of course, they have existing parking out there right now, and that's about 4 to 5 feet away from the right-of-way. All the new parking, which is shown in the heavier shade here, will meet the 10-foot setback. So the only new parking area that's handicap space will be about 4 or 5 feet away, and that will be within the setback. But they'll have all new parking landscaped. Of course, there's existing parking on the east side of the site too, which they plan to, keep and restripe. But that's there's a 5-foot minimum setback, so they're encroaching in that. But they're just maintaining a parking there. Site coverage, there's a max in PDC of 70%. They're going to be up around 95%. Obviously, they need that waiver. It's an existing site. They built pretty much pavement and buildings up to the lot lines. The new area here, the parking, they will maintain the setback here and get some landscaping in, so they'll actually be, improving things a little bit, the intersection with some more open space. UDO requires any planned development over 2 acres. That kind of relates to, we've waived this in a couple locations, Cornerstone, Plaza DeKalb, a few other locations, Pizza Hut, we improved these. I think that 2 acres was related back more to when the UDO was created to larger subdivisions, planned developments. We kind of think of these large residential subdivisions, and I think there was intent to kind of keep those over 2 acres. But as we've seen the last few years, we have the sites coming in, particularly sites that are being redeveloped that are under 2 acres that need these waivers or variances included with them. And the planned development is the source or key to kind of accommodate those. So that's why they're asking for that waiver too. They also submitted a final plat of subdivision. They're going to create 1 lot for this. It's kind of broken up into several parcels right now. So there's a plat of re-subdivision submitted. So the plans have been reviewed by staff, and we did have comments provided. They were handed out tonight. There's just about 5, and they're minor comments, I think. So these can be, we're asking these to be addressed prior to city council action. That's just details on the parking shown on the plan, the site coverage. This a note added to the landscape plan to make sure that there's adequate, the stalls are a certain depth and making sure there's enough overhang left so the landscaping's not damaged. The final plat, we did get a revision on that with some dated certificates. We need to go through that and just make sure everything is addressed before the council takes action. And on the ground sign too, we did get a detail. I understand the applicant is putting together something a little more detailed showing how the sign will actually look beyond what's shown here, but they plan to do one that's going to meet the ordinance in terms of square footage and height. And this one is shown just over 6 feet, so, and our max height is 10 feet, so, and 50 square feet. So they tend to meet that. They're just going to provide a detail showing how that's going to look and has some materials in the sign that will match the building. They also have a dumpster that they'll be relocating and screen per the UDO, and there's a detail provided on that. It'll be brick to match the existing building. In terms of the building, there's no change proposed or addition to the building. There may be a change down the road with the wall signage perhaps, but no change to the building. It's a masonry building right now with 5 service bays, and then the offices for the levels, and then the proton tattoo. And the potential feature, there's a space down here that's currently vacant. That may be is that the future indoor car wash perhaps. I think there's a door in the back of the building. There's a few doors in the back of the building. So there was one in there previously. And there's interest in having perhaps another one down the road. So they want that added to their list of permitted uses. So in any rezoning, we have the standards in the UDO, looking at the comprehensive plan and surrounding zoning. The comp plan from '05 shows commercial for the site. So the redevelopment of the property will be, compatible with the area. There actually is a auto repair place right behind the building too, which is legal non-conforming also. So there's somewhat similar uses in the area, and as you look at the site, things aren't really going to change a whole lot. They're going to have additional services, probably a little more activity on the property from the current operation. So it won't have a detrimental effect on the surrounding area. There's going to be restrictions, which I'll go over regarding the operational limitations of the vehicle repair. Adequate utilities already serve the site. There's standards for plan development too. I noted the access points on the site. The one on the far east will remain, a full one, and that on 4th Street too will remain. And then the depressed curb right at the corner there will be taken off, and there'll be a curb there, so one cannot enter or exit there. Obviously, that intersection, one of the busiest ones in the area, so there's adequate capacity in the roadways for the additional traffic. No undue burden on our taxing districts with the development. There'll be a benefit to the downtown area, actually. And the plan development has some waivers, which I went through before. So citizen comments, as of May 3rd, as of tonight, we didn't receive any public comments regarding the proposal. So the recommendation is to approve. I have a sample motion prepared with the rezoning, and includes Exhibit A, which is a list of the plan development plans, each plan with a date on it, and those are our current dates. The development standards, just run through those quickly. Those kind of come from the 2013 recommendation. They did have a couple of these in that recommendation too, and then recent car repair, a couple places in the city over the last couple of years, we've had some standards in there too. So first one out, no outdoor storage or display of parts, tools, supplies, or other equipment and materials is prohibited. So they can't have outdoor storage of things they're selling or whatever. Parking or storage of inoperable or unlicensed vehicles shall be prohibited. That was a condition back in 2013. No damaged vehicles requiring bodywork or vehicles with flat tires shall be parked outside overnight. So that if they had one of those, again, they're not proposing heavy car repair or anything, but if they do have one like that, they can park it inside overnight. No inoperable vehicles associated with special use shall be parked off-site. All vehicle repairs must be conducted indoors. They can't be doing things outside. And the storage of any vehicles on the subject property not associated with the business is prohibited. So they can't have things parked on the site that aren't related to the business operation. So, and we went over these with the applicant, and he's agreed to all these conditions. So, also Exhibit A approves the waivers, variance to the UDO that have been described, and then handed out tonight is Exhibit B, which is the remaining staff comments, which are minor, and we're asking those to be addressed before final council action. This is the tabulation of the parking required and provided on the plan. Based on the formulas in the UDO, the site coverage calculation, put that on the plan just to document it as we kind of go forward. Add note to the landscape plan that there's adequate overhang depth provided. They have 18-foot long spaces, and 19 is required, but that's allowed as long as you have enough overhang for the cars, so it's not damaging or going over some landscaping or anything. So So he's asked to add a note on that, revise the final plat if there's any remaining comments on that, and just more detail on the ground sign provided, which I understand they're working on right now. So that is the recommendation. Any questions? And certainly I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay. So I open first to any public comments or questions, and I will note that there is no one in the audience from the public. So that makes that part a little quick. So I open to the commissioners, and I'll start with Mr. Maxwell.
No, I think it's fairly self-explanatory. I encourage the expansion. Again, supporting a local business, I think, is a wonderful venture, and I'm glad you see fit to make those improvements. So I have no questions.
I know it's been a long time in coming. Glad to see the plans. I think it'll be great. Be a nice improvement.
Very good. I have a couple questions, clarifications. Mr. Olson, can you put this on the screen? I have a question.
Is that the landscaping?
The landscaping design. You know the greenery that is on the northern part of the property? Yep. What is that width?
It's about 4 to 5 feet.
4 to 5 feet.
Yeah.
Thank you. So that I'm just trying to imagine this. This is in my head right now. It's going to look a little bit like the postal office. Postal office has something like that, and then the parking.
Yeah,
the
this
cars
is
behind it.
They have landscaping now, and I think that's about the same distance back, right? 4 to 5.
A little wider.
Little wider.
A little wider
Slow.
than what's there now.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay, thank you. That helps a lot.
And 4 to 5 feet's about the tip. That's why there's no shade trees in there. That's not wide enough for any shade trees. They're down here.
There were, but they outgrew it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
shrubs can grow in that width. That's kind of a standard width for like a parking lot island,
Correct.
about
Okay.
that depth.
That helps me envision it a little bit. Thank you.
Mhm.
The second action on that same design, I see that entrance exit on South 4th Street. Am I seeing that correctly? There are cars that are going to enter and exit in that area. Is that correct?
You're talking about right here?
Correct. And that right now doesn't exist. Is that correct?
That exists right now.
They just have cars parked there right now. Right there.
Right now, they have cars parked. So we're going to have cars entering and exiting there. I'm very concerned about that. I mean, I have been in establishments in town where you have that exit entrance very close to the intersection, and it is just messy to get in and out. I'm not saying that this is a deal breaker, but I'm concerned, and I'm just wondering whether we can just seal it the same way that it is sealed now by other cars and stuff like that. I don't know if this is a point of discussion at this point.
We discussed that before, and the applicant wants to maintain that, access in terms of marketability of the site and this convenience for customers. We've had no, concern. Yeah, usually you don't want an access that close to an intersection.
Correct.
We've had no complaints or any reports from the police of any major problems with that. Currently, most of the time, cars are parked there for I assume, the employees of the operation, so I don't think it's used that much, but
Would it be
the
possible
applicant
to-
wants to keep that. We haven't had any issues with that being a problem. It's not ideal, but we're not objecting to keeping that open.
Would
as a
it, would it
staff,
be
so-
possible to maybe make it a right turn only exit?
That's what I was thinking, maybe
Only
limit it to
because-
a right turn.
All right, turn in.
Yeah,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Yeah, this has been
Sir,
discussion.
could you state your name and address, please?
Kevin Lovell, 1335 Florence Drive, Sycamore, Illinois. I've been there 35 years prior to building and tearing down, and that's always been an entrance. Matter of fact, it's really been more of an exit. When the building was there, there was their parking. Those 3 cars there, that was their.
I remember.
In order to leave there, you had to back out onto 4th Street. So we're improving that. And there has been no accidents that I know of with people backing out onto 4th Street. We are going to close off the other one. And we did ask IDOT what they wanted. And they said as long as we close off the Lincoln Highway one, they had no problems with keeping 4th Street open.
I'm sorry, so currently, I'm sorry, where that cursor was, that is another entrance exit?
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
well,
There
there's
was-
cars parked there. It is depressed curb. One could drive over there.
Both-
That's
it's-
being
Go by
closed.
there now. They're both depressed. They're both entrance to that corner.
Again, it was a gas.
This one, you can back out into a train if you weren't watching.
Yeah, I've seen people
So
go
I
in there.
agree, you know, and thank God that nobody has backed out into a train there. That one's gonna be closed. The other one, we're asking to remain open, so that whole corner is gonna be safer than it has ever been.
Yeah, Kevin mentioned, yeah, we did get a letter back from IDOT last summer, I think, indicating that they were fine with this one, but the one at the corner, they wanted that closed and gave them standards for the curbing and how they want that done, so.
And the engineering costs were, you know, we've gone through this 3 times now, so we kind of agreed on this, so that's why we're.
I don't know, the only time I ever see it being a problem is if somebody's going to try to turn left out of there with oncoming traffic going the
Yeah,
other way, and eventually
yeah.
they're going to get so frustrated, they're going to turn right
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, and then again, repeating myself, it's better than backing out into 4th Street.
And I can understand, but I mean, I can always come up with a number, it's called entropy, where I can come up with a number, an infinite number of worst scenarios.
Yeah.
Order it requires a significantly lower number of good positive scenarios. Let me, I mean, the right turn only kind of situation may be a solution. I don't know if is this a forum to deal with this? I'm concerned at this point, it's all I'm saying, and I'm expressing my concern with this. I don't think it's a deal breaker at this point. Let me or introduce another topic, and I'm going to treat it at a general level first, and then I want to bring it to this particular case. There's a number of waivers from the UDO that are requested in this particular petition. And it makes me think about whoever came up with the UDO so many years ago and the comprehensive plan so many years ago. And this is a lot of good citizens that put a lot of energy into coming up with these things. And you have to wonder, well, if we put all this energy into regulations and thinking and blah, 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 here we are waiving those things. So coming up to, I have a rationale for waiving regulations that we have put in place in the past. And I'm going to implicitly express what that rationale is. And it comes in a form of putting Mr. Olson on the spot here. And it really is a very simple criterion, simple question. In your professional opinion, the design that we have in front of us, will it make it better than what we currently have or not? Before you answer that question, I'm sorry for putting you on the spot here. This is a very difficult corner. I hope you agree with me. This is a very difficult corner. I have been on my bicycle trying to go around that little corner over there, and man, the best thing I can do is get off my bicycle because it's dangerous. From a professional point of view, looking at the design, what I really would like to hear from you is the answer to the question, once we implement this, do we have something better than what we currently have?
So you're talking about if we approve the waivers and implement this plan? Yes,
Correct.
there'd be definitely a visual improvement to the intersection, additional landscaping and the parking lot fully resurfaced. This access will be improved. There'll be paver blocks along the sidewalk, which will match the areas to the east and the west going into downtown. So that will be a big improvement. They'll have a regular monument type sign with materials that match the building instead of this kind of smaller pylon sign they have here. So definitely, that's why we're recommending approval. It'll definitely be an improvement. Is everything ideal? No, because it is an existing site. You know, if this was a new site, yeah, we would have probably accesses like that, but we have to deal with what's kind of existing. The owner's interested in maintaining this business downtown, just expanding the services, so that's a benefit, you know, to the area and the downtown. So definitely be better than the current situation, so.
And that's what I want to hear from a professional point of view. You're a professional planner. You're the smarter guy on this topic in particular, and that's the impression that I'm getting from this particular design. So I'm glad that this is happening because it needs. I mean, it's a difficult corner, and I'm glad that this is happening. And I'm saying this for the benefit of the conversation of the rest of the commission. I mean, we at the end of the story, some people, some years ago, put some, regulations in place, UDO, comprehensive plan, and so on and so forth. I'm glad that we can waive those things so we can have something better at this corner in the near future. So, thank you very much. Thank you.
And with respect to that, these were grandfathered in because of the existing business, so, I mean, take
No, I
that into
understand.
consideration, too.
I understand that. I understand that, and I, in past conversations, I have had my problems with the whole issue of grandfather. If I were in your place, I want to be grandfather as well. If I'm in a similar situation, I understand that. But again, I'm thinking when we put these regulations in place, we're looking forward in the next 20, 30 years. How is our city going to look? Again, in this particular instance, we're waiving those things because the plan that we have in front of us will make it better. That's the key here. It will make it better.
I have a question. You're not a quote-unquote high-traffic business. You don't have people constantly in and out like a fast food restaurant, like a drive-through. So the traffic in and out will be
As a matter of fact,
sporadic
most of-
throughout the day.
Some of the stuff will be the same cars that are there. It'll just, I'll be able to do more to one car versus go somewhere else or go to Sycamore, go to,
I certainly favor it. I think you're to be commended for everything you've already done there, and I think this will be a great improvement. I've been driving by that intersection for I've been riding by it for the last 75 years, so I think it's definitely an improvement. And you have an excellent reputation, and I'm happy to see this.
Thank you.
I must say I avoid this intersection because it's awful and you always get stopped by the train and the light always turns green on the other side wherever I stand first. And so I did come down today. I think this is an awful intersection with all these different things, and I think it's an improvement. And I also think we need to work on Annie Glidden and Lincoln Highway. The entrance to the city is really awful too. So I'm really glad you're putting some plants there and making it look prettier. And I'm
Thank
sure
you. Yeah.
people can still drive. So
I've been there-
I see like a common theme today. We're putting a lot more greenery
Yeah.
in everything, and it seems all to be an improvement. So we want meetings only like that, where we're all happy.
From now on, we just want all these happy ones.
Yeah, I wish I could do that every
We want
one.
green ones, yes.
No conflict, yeah.
Yeah, with these existing sites, they're, difficult. We try and look for, what improvements can we make? Any special use rezoning? What can we do to the site, make it a little better? I know there's restrictions, can't do everything.
Yeah.
Like in this case with the access, but, with additional landscaping, improvements in the parking lot and, improving the access, the streetscape, that's a benefit. So we're getting a lot from this, so.
And I think current people who utilize your business probably are used to going down a little bit further, pulling in closer to where DeKalb Liquors are.
Yep.
I've sat at the stoplight facing east. I go by there 4, 6, 8 times a day. And when I'm sitting at that stoplight and there's a train, the most activity that I have seen go in off that 4th Street is for people to cut through because they don't want to sit and wait for the stoplight. So
Been
I
that
hope
way.
that means,
It's always been that way.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah. That's-
exactly.
It's always been that way.
Yeah, I do share the same concern that Mr. Castro does with people coming out of there, but like I said, I think I've seen more people go in just to cut through. And your customers, I think, will tend to go down further onto Lincoln Highway anyway, so.
And this
And
alley
there's
access.
the alley back there,
On the
yeah.
southeast side will remain open
And-
too. That's
and
another option.
When I've sat in the drive-through waiting to go through Dunkin' Donuts, I have seen people coming to drop their vehicles off in the morning where they are either coming in from the alley, so coming in the back off of 4th Street, and then turning to come in that way rather than coming in off of that, right at that intersection. So I share the same concerns, but I think
We're improving the
we'll
corner.
see.
We're
Yes,
improving the
exactly.
corner.
The look on this corner
Safety-wise,
has
looks,
improved already.
everything. It's
Yeah.
all gonna be better.
That little building that was there, which was a restaurant at one time also, was great because it added something different to that side of the town. But what a difference that has made not having that building there. Such a huge difference. When you're sitting there.
You have
and
some
you wanna
people that
turn
come in and go,
right.
what did you do something
Yeah,
different here? I said, yeah, I can look out my front door now.
Exactly, exactly. So the fact that this corner is improving with you making the changes and the changes that have happened with the small little shopping center, if that's what you want to call it, fantastic. The one thing that I would like to ask the city at some point to think about or look at, since we're talking about this intersection, the biggest pet peeve of mine with this intersection, which goes with safety, is the fact that that left lane on Lincoln Highway as you're heading east, that cuts off down to one lane as soon as you get past the tracks. I have seen so many near misses. It would be wonderful if that left lane could be a left turn lane, which would force people to be in that right lane before we're crossing the tracks.
There is a merge
It's
sign
backwards.
that people
Yeah.
don't see.
Exactly.
It
They
feels
wait
backwards.
until
You
they're
think
right
you go
past it.
right because the left lane's going to
Yeah.
turn, and you end up.
Yeah.
Remember that as
Smushed.
IDOT road, not the city road.
Yeah, that's true.
We do have.
And
to-
that's why there's horns on your cars.
That's right, that's true. I just wait for the day that somebody's gonna get stuck on those tracks because they can't get over, they're gonna have to turn left, and they get their wheels caught in those tracks. I don't know if it would ever happen, but God help us if it does.
God bless that nothing's ever happened on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
happened on all the other corners.
Yeah,
We had a semi
Please knock
2
on
years
wood.
ago that
I remember that.
trying to
yeah.
take the right turn, Clyde. and
Yep,
it wasn't big
exactly,
enough.
exactly. So, we're still in the public hearing, so I'll make note again, there's no one in the public, but I will offer the opportunity. And there being none, I'll close the public hearing. And you're welcome to have a seat if you'd like, thank you. Any further questions or comments? No? Be happy to, so Dan, when we do this motion, the motion is as is, we don't have to go through,
There's no modifications to the motion in the staff report.
and we don't have to do the waiver separately.
Nope, that's included in the Exhibit A.
Okay.
So you don't need to read through Exhibit A and just reference it. So just reading the motion as in the report would handle all that.
Okay.
No, it's above all the, yeah, it took me forever.
So I'll be happy to take a motion whenever anyone's
I
ready.
can move it.
They'd like.
So based upon the submitted petition and testimony presented, I move that the Planning and Zoning Commission forward its finding of fact and recommend to the City Council approval of a zoning map amendment from the CBD Central Business District to the PDC Planned Development Commercial District, and approval of a planned development preliminary and final plan for the subject site located at 424 East Lincoln Highway in order to expand the existing legal non-conforming tire service to include uses allowed under vehicle service facility as defined in the UDO, an indoor car wash operation, and all permitted uses in the CBD Central Business District per the planned development preliminary and final plans and development standards listed in Exhibit A, and subject to all staff comments being addressed prior to the final City Council action as listed in Exhibit B.
Second.
So, excuse me, a motion has been made by Barbie, seconded by Maxwell. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Klein,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
Barbie,
Yes.
Buckley,
Yes.
Castro,
Yes.
Chair Doe,
Yes,
6 yes, motion passes.
thank you. Reports.
I think it's great that we've had 3 hearings tonight, every one of which will be an improvement for the town. I was happy to vote yes on all 3 of them. It's nice to have a situation like that.
I agree. I agree.
Hopefully,
us
we bring
some
more
more.
to you.
Let's have some more of them.
The downtown
I
is
guarantee it.
looking
I have some ideas.
wonderful. The downtown improvements.
Yes.
I love driving downtown right now. I've seen several times in the evenings when I'm coming home from work where you're seeing people walking around downtown. They're looking at what's happening down there. They're looking at the incoming restaurants that are there, they're enjoying being downtown. That's what we're hoping for. That's what we're working towards. A long time coming. I haven't seen that in a long time. And I think it's great. I'd love to be able to drive downtown. Not that I haven't in the past, but the difference is it catches your eye.
It's noticeable.
Yes, it's very noticeable.
For the reports, next meeting, May 22nd, we'll have one item, one concept plan. That'll be for the Mooney property. A concept plan will come forward, or sketch plan, by John Pappas for a mixed-use development, 2 buildings, apartments and commercial. So that's a concept plan. There's no official motion. Just be some feedback requested from the commission on that. That'll be our only item for that evening. Past council meetings on April 8th, the council approved the special use permit for the indoor golf on Sycamore Road for the Mason properties. And I know he's doing work in there now, so that should be open sometime this summer. On April 22nd meeting, they approved the McDonald's upgrades to the site and the elevations that went through the commission. With that, they did, I know there was, the commission had some conditions on that with some safety changes made, so there was a revised plan submitted that had additional signage regarding yielding to pedestrians. There was directional signage added to the plan, directing people to the walkways on both sides of the site. There was a pedestrian yield signs put into right at the middle of the drive. You kind of see in some other areas, streets where people slow down, intersections to kind of slow people down and also at the same time warn them of pedestrians. So they made quite a few changes on there. So, and that was submitted and approved by the council, so per the direction from the commission. So just want to make you aware of that. The ComEd, that expansion of their substation on Pleasant Street, that's an annexation agreement too. There's a hearing required from the council that was continued to May 28th. We're still working on the annexation agreement with the ComEd on that. So, and I'll have within the next week here an update on the development status. Kind of report out, email that out to the commission members. So
Great.
I
Anything else?
noticed that there is on the city website now, the updated project list. I like it.
yeah,
I like it.
yep. We've had it on there for a while and just
Yeah.
trying to keep it updated more. Yep.
I like it. Looks good.
Thanks.
Transparency. Awesome.
Did you say transparency?
Transparency.
I'm a Southwest flyer,
Transparency.
too.
Me too. I'm going next week. All right. Anything else, commissioners? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion.
That goes fast.
Nobody said for a while, that's fine.
Oh.
To adjourn.
To adjourn. Sorry.
Thank you.
Motion made by Barbie,
Second.
second by Maxwell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.
Did anybody ever
Anybody says
oppose
no, I'm
something?